Good morning. Hey, everybody. It's Dr. Lacey of drlacey.com. I am super excited to be joining you on this morning, bright and early from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I am super excited as we get ready for the empowerment climb. Well, what is the empowerment climb exactly? It's our opportunity to come together and see exactly, well, what does the research say for us as women and as leaders of how we can go from process to practice? So let's first talk a little bit about process. Process, in short, is a series of actions. It's steps taken in order to achieve a particular goal. Essentially, process means you're trying to figure it out. Well, we all are trying to figure it out every single day, right? We go from step to step. We're trying to figure it out. But at some point in your process, you have to move to practice. Practice is defined as the actual application or use of an idea, a belief, or method, as opposed to simply theories or as opposed to the process of figuring it out. It's really about the application and the use. So essentially, practice means to do it. And when we are coming together for the empowerment climb, we're really looking to see, well, what is the best practice? Best practice as in, what are the tips and the techniques? What does the research say that in order to do this, and if I do this, it's going to help me to lead to a greater place of success. So I'm so excited that you're here today. I'm so excited that we're ready for the climb. And I'm really excited because when we leave with our time together today, you'll walk away knowing the 6 steps to happiness for leaders that is based in the research where you can go today from the classroom to the boardroom and apply these same tips. So, what are the 6 steps to happiness for leaders? Well, step number 1 is leaders set goals. Right. I know. Set goals. If you haven't done so already, I know that there's someone who's wanting to get this same information. Please take a minute to share this webinar. It's going to be great. If there's another woman that you know who's ready for the climb, share this with her because I think she'll be inspired on today. So what's the first step that good leaders who tap into their happiness do? Right. They set goals. If you haven't done so, please be sure and type down set goals, or you can like or share or put those hearts down if you set goals for yourself. The difference between an effective leader and a happy leader is an individual that not only do they set goals, but they set goals each day. So how many of you, like myself, I know I make a to-do list almost every single day. And when I was growing up as a girl, I would get frustrated because my mom would say, before we leave the house, we have to make our to-do list. And I couldn't understand why. In my mind, wasn't it more than enough that we could just go out and run errands? But what I've learned in my process to practice is as an effective, happy leader, if I set the goal, I make my to-do list. I simply do so because it helps me to focus on what my day's accomplishment is going to be. And I don't know about you, but if I happen to forget to put something on my to-do list, on my goals list, I add it because there's something really special about being able to mark that off of your list for the day. So what's the very first thing with our 6 steps to happiness for leaders? Leaders, number 1, set goals. When you set your goal and you're able to accomplish your goal, it automatically leads to happiness. Step number 2 in the 6 steps to happiness for leaders. Step number 2 is leaders who are happy spend time in nature. They literally spend at least 20 minutes a day outside. According to the research from Stanford University, they talk about how that helps to lead to a better mental health, and happier mental health also helps to translate into mindfulness thinking. So even here in Milwaukee, where it gets pretty cold, especially in the months of January and February, you'll still see people outside. I don't know about you, but for me, that's sometimes where my best thinking takes place, when I'm up and moving and away from my desk. If you haven't done so, you may want to consider taking your next meeting as a walking meeting. It helps to get you away from your desk, generate fresh ideas, get you out in the fresh air. It helps to build your mental health, and it helps really translate to your mindfulness. It also, by being outside and spending at least 20 minutes in nature a day, it really helps to boost your mood and reduce stress. As leaders, we know that stress is inevitable. Stress is simply a part of life for all of us, regardless as to where you might find yourself in the workforce. So even if you're a stay-at-home mom, or you work, you go out and work out of the home from day to day, you might be the leader or an aspiring leader. We all have stress. So what's a great way to combat that stress is by spending 20 minutes outside a day, which will really help to improve your mood and reduce stress. So step number 1, happy leaders set goals. Step number 2, happy leaders spend time in nature at least 20 minutes a day. Step number 3, it really translates from our 20 minutes a day outside, which is self-care. Self-care is the intentional act of caring for yourself. It's putting yourself first, either by mental, physical, emotional, or spiritual acts. It is putting you first. An empty vessel cannot pour out. So one thing that effective, happy leaders do is they always take care of themselves. So what might be something that you do for self-care? Well, if we're being mindful, it really goes back to step 2 and taking that step outside, walking around for 15, 20 minutes, taking a walking meeting. Or maybe also connecting to your physical health. I know bright and early in the morning, I like to head to the gym. I like to go for a walk or a run. All of those things coupled together really feed into my self-care. It's also about your emotional or spiritual journey when it comes to self-care. So your emotional journey, do you take time to journal? Do you get on the phone with a good girlfriend or a guy friend of yours and be able to share exactly like, oh, this is something I'm working through my mind right now. Can you help me through that? Or just, spend time on the phone hanging out. So your spiritual self-care, taking time to pray or to meditate, all of those things help to feed into your happiness as a leader. So again, 6 steps to happiness for leaders. Step number 1 is they set goals. Step number 2 is they spend time in nature. Step number 3 is self-care. And step number 4 for happy leaders out of our 6 steps to happiness for leaders is they eat and drink properly. I know it seems so basic, but hangry is real. If you are like some leaders, they often will skip lunch or they feel as though they don't have time for breakfast because they have to get to the next big thing, have to get to the next meeting, or they're on their way, or they may even be eating in the car, going from one place to the other, or I'll just have coffee for breakfast. That's more than enough. Well, all of those things, when you take the time to not eat, it actually feeds into your ineffectiveness. As leaders, we want to be our most effective self every single time. And the old adage rings true, breakfast is still the most important meal of the day. So how can you get past that? Well, you may want to think about making a pre-made breakfast, because when you don't eat or drink properly, it actually impacts your progress and makes you irritable, and it impacts your productivity. And so let's talk about drinking properly as well. From the University of Connecticut, UConn, the Huskies, well, they actually conducted a study in which they warned that mild dehydration can actually alter your mood. So if you're already starting to feel thirsty, it's too late. You're already 1% to 2% dehydrated. So eating and drinking properly is most important. That study from the University of Connecticut, well, they went on to determine that mild dehydration can not only alter your mood, so hangry can alter your mood, and being thirsty can alter your mood. It impacts your energy levels, your ability to think clearly. So if you have a big decision coming up, you're going to want to drink water because that's actually going to help you in your process. And for us as women, believe it or not, we are more susceptible to the adverse effects of dehydration. So it's even more important for us to drink up and make sure we get our daily dose of water every single day. It's going to be vital, ladies. So please, please, please make sure that we are eating and drinking properly. Okay, so let's recap real quick. What are those 6 steps to happiness? Step number 1, happy leaders set goals. Step number 2, happy leaders spend time outdoors. Step number 3, happy leaders have self-care. And step number 4, happy leaders eat and drink responsibly. Step number 5, happy leaders listen to music. Yes. So, research from the Philips Research Laboratories in the Netherlands connected happy leadership to those who listen to music in the car going from one place to the next. Believe it or not, and I'm sure you will agree, music can induce a certain mood. If you're trying to make a love connection with your spouse, you might decide to listen to a specific type of music. If you're trying to go to a place of worship, you're going to listen to a specific type of music. If you've noticed the sports teams, especially when they're getting ready for the big game, hey, they are listening to music. All of those different types of music can help to produce a different type of mood. So if you want a happy mood, you're going to want to listen to happy music. Not only will listening to music help to induce your mood, so a mood of more productivity, but by maintaining that music, it'll help to maintain your mood. So while you're driving, turn on the radio, blast, and sing along, no judgment, because all of those things together are going to help to influence your mood and make for a happier leader. So let's recap. Step number 1, happy leaders set goals. Step number 2, happy leaders spend time in nature. Step number 3, happy leaders practice self-care. Step number 4, happy leaders eat and drink responsibly. And step number 5, happy leaders listen to music. So our final step on the empowerment climb today, we're climbing the corporate ladder in stilettos, is happy leaders go to bed early. I know it seems so practical, but in fact, happy leaders often get 8 to 10 hours of rest. They are in bed early. So if you haven't done so, set an adult bedtime. There's nothing wrong with it because when it's said and done, sleep is the most important thing. Sleep actually helps to refortify the body. That's when our cells are healing themselves and our cells are refortifying. It's when the body really has time to rest. And believe it or not, there's actually been research that connects to the dreams that you have that can help you to process something you're trying to figure out that will then produce itself when you're back wide awake. And when it's said and done, nobody likes a cranky leader. So it's important to get our night's rest. So happy leaders go to bed early. So let's recap for today. On our empowerment climb, as we move from process to practice, what are the 6 steps that happy leaders do? Be sure and type those 6 steps below. Like, share, follow. It's a great time to come together. So here are those 6 steps that happy leaders practice every single day. First one, happy leaders set goals. If you haven't typed yet below, make sure you type set goals. Step number 2, happy leaders spend time out in nature. Step number 3, happy leaders practice self-care. And step number 4, happy leaders eat and drink responsibly. And step number 5, happy leaders listen to music. And step number 6, happy leaders are always in bed early. If you practice any one of these 6 steps, it's going to help you move from process to practice. So here is your point to practice. My favorite book says, above all, be careful what you think because your thoughts control your life. Ouch. Yes, there is truth to that. Your thoughts control your life. So in other words, you can think yourself happy. Proverbs 4:23 reminds us of that. So again, it reminds and it tells us, above all, be careful what you think because your thoughts control your life. I don't know about you, but I'm going to choose to think myself happy because I'm going to practice the empowerment climb and practice the 6 steps of a happy leader. Thank you so much for tuning in on today. If you haven't done so, be sure and like and follow drlacey.com on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. You can find me across all the platforms. And if you haven't taken the time to visit drlacey.com online yet, please be sure to do so. If you missed any of the 6 steps, this video will be up, but there'll also be an infographic to help you as well as we all continue to move from process to practice. I hope you think yourself happy on today and plan to join me again next week as we'll be talking about the power of no. Wow. I hope you have a great day today. I'll see you soon, if not before.